Hi, this is Jim Cowan of Synergy AEC. I want to acknowledge that what I'm showing is a result of what I saw on a presentation from the ASLA, where Meg Calkins, using data provided by Chris Hardy of Sasaki, was explaining how you can make sensible choices regarding carbon emissions and materials for landscape projects. My goal is to show that using the information provided and using Revit with some additional add-ons, ID8 software, BIMLink, and Arch Intelligence environment, you can really go to town and get some instantaneous feedback as you design that lets you address issues of sustainability. So this is Revit reporting on floors, where floors represent landscape components. For example, I've got poured in place concrete pavers with an HMA base, porous paving with a cement base, gravel. So that's kind of from left to right is from top to bottom in here. These have, from a measured study, the embodied carbon for 200 square meters of these floors, which is what these are drawn as, 200 square meters. And it can calculate, what that means for every square foot. And what I want you to see is that then you can calculate here what the actual embodied carbon is for the floors themselves. So that's what it's calculating at the moment. If I take this floor and I say edit the boundary, and I'm going to pick on that, I'm just going to take that out a bit. So for this one, which is the stone dust, it updated the square footage, and this could be automated through the use of a spreadsheet, an external spreadsheet, and a third-party product like ID8 software. I'm manually having to do this at the moment. So if I go in and say 4265, which was the new measured value from inside Revit, now what I'm getting is the updated calculation for the embodied carbon. So the only manual part of what I had to do was because I'm not currently showing the ID8 external spreadsheet where I could save it out, change values, and bring it in to change this instead of having a user manually change this. Let me just go back. So I'm going to do Control Z so you can see me go out of this and go back to where it was. So I went back to the original size. And the other part of this that I want you to see is that if I use, say, environment, which is from Arch Intelligence, I can use shape by topography, and I can bend my floors or my landscape materials. Actually, I'll do it for multiple, but let me pick on this. Go to the environment tool, shape by topography. I've got this one slab selected, and I just should have shown you there. These are sitting above the shaped topography. Also created an environment, and I can say, I'm actually interested in, I'm going to hold the control key, that and that. You see the numbers changing here, that and that. So now what I'm doing is picking the topography. I would like these finished paving materials to be maybe, I'm going to just say 6 inches above the shaped topography, and say OK. That's it, calculating the new floors, and it's done. Now my square footage has changed because these are now, if you like, bent to the form of the topography. So what I would, again in my spreadsheet, what I would do is change these. In the spreadsheet, this would be taking the calculated value and copying it into the column that I needed in to do the calculation. Just think how laborious this is in out of the box Revit, where I'm manually having to enter all these values by myself. Boring and very, very inefficient. So, the most exciting part of this for me is that with this kind of data, I can be reporting back on the embodied carbon. But even better than that would be that I can actually make tools available to the designers so that, as you see here, I'm using the data about carbon emissions from low to high. And if I apply filters to this, so I'm just turning on enabling the filter, what I've got is the poorer choices are less green because they're more transparent, and the sound choices are greener. So if I apply that to my view, what I can see is that this confirms for me as I'm working that my stabilized stone dust here and here is the greener choice compared to, for example, concrete pavers or the poured in place concrete. Great feedback.